You know how sometimes the clock on the wall and the clock in your head just don't seem to match up? Well, today we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea from physics and neuroscience. The idea that the flow of time isn't something that just happens to us, but something our own consciousness might actually be creating. I mean, think about it. Ever been in a crisis and everything just seems to shift into slow motion? Or what about a great conversation with a friend that just flashes by in what feels like minutes? That feeling? It's not just some weird quirk of our brains. It might actually be a huge clue about the deep, deep connection between our minds and time itself. So, this whole puzzle really boils down to a clash between two different kinds of clocks. You've got the objective, physical clock, the one on your wall, and then you have the subjective, psychological clock, the one in your head. And as we're about to see, they might as well be operating in completely different realities. You see, in physics, they often talk about time as this static dimension, kind of like length or width. It's external, you can measure it, but that's not how we feel it, is it? For us, time is this internal, subjective thing. It feels like a flowing river, constantly moving, carrying us from one moment to the next. And look, this isn't just some philosophical debate. Researchers like Ken and Whitman are pointing out that science has been so hyper-focused on that objective ticking clock that it's pretty much ignored the way we actually experience time, that continuous flowing present that we all live in. Okay, so if the way we feel time is so different from the physics model, where's it coming from? The answer might literally be inside our own heads. What if time isn't something we just perceive out there in the world? What if it's something our brain actively constructs? Now get ready for this because it's a pretty wild claim. Researchers Shorley and Chalon are proposing that without a conscious observer, without you, a physical dimension of time might not even exist. The flow of events from past to future, they argue, only happens because a mind is there to witness it. So let's just break that down for a second. In this view, what we call time is really just our consciousness putting events in order. Without a mind to string those moments together into a past, a present, and a future, there's just a single, static now. So how in the world does our brain pull this off? Well, a key idea is something called the extended now. See, your sense of the present moment isn't like a single razor-thin frame in a movie. It's more like a temporal window. Your brain is constantly stitching together what just happened, what's happening right now, and what it thinks is about to happen next all into one seamless experience. It's this absolutely incredible process, right? First, all the sensory info from the present moment floods in. Your brain instantly pulls up memories of the last few seconds while also predicting what's about to happen. And then, and this is the magic part, it weaves all three of those streams together into the single flowing experience of now. It's the reason you hear a sentence, not just a jumble of disconnected sounds. Okay, that's already pretty mind-bending. But some thinkers are taking it even further. What if consciousness isn't just creating our perception of time? What if consciousness is the missing piece in our fundamental theories of the universe itself? And that question, it's at the very heart of this huge new push in theoretical physics. A researcher named T.N. Buchan argues that our current theories of physics are fundamentally incomplete, precisely because they're missing a variable for consciousness. Adding it in could be the key to unlocking some of the universe's biggest mysteries. And we're not talking about small potatoes here. Integrating consciousness as a fundamental part of physics could potentially help us unify our understanding of everything from cause and effect to gravity to the seriously strange rules of quantum mechanics. It suggests consciousness isn't some biological fluke. It might be woven into the very fabric of reality. And all of this leads us to what might be the most staggering idea we've talked about yet. The possibility that consciousness isn't just a player in the universe, but the very foundation of it. And you gotta understand, this isn't just one person with a wild theory. There's a growing chorus of researchers from all different fields who are all starting to arrive at a very similar conclusion, that maybe, just maybe, consciousness needs to be treated as a fundamental property of reality, just like space or matter or energy. This idea, it completely flips our standard view of the universe right on its head. As researcher Liang Shen puts it, we usually assume that consciousness somehow popped out of the complex physics of space-time. This new view suggests we've got it completely backward. Consciousness is the primary thing, and space-time itself actually emerges from it. And this is where it all comes full circle. Bhattacharya's theory connects this massive cosmic idea right back to our experience of time. He suggests that time isn't some pre-existing container that events just happen inside of. No, instead, time itself emerges as an inseparable property of a conscious observer simply making a measurement. The very act of you observing the world is what creates a timeline. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? For so long, we've been told that our subjective feeling of time flowing from past to future is just an illusion, a trick of the mind. But what if it's not? What if that deep, intuitive sense that we all have is actually a direct perception of the most fundamental process in the universe? Consciousness creating reality itself. Which leaves us with one last kind of provocative thought to chew on. If the very flow of time is tied to our act of observing it, what else in our reality isn't as fixed and external as we think? What else is being actively shaped by our awareness, right here, right now?